Hello friends, this is Anju and welcome to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I will discuss about a book summary, Rich Dad Poor Dad. So it is part 1. So let's get started. There is a need. The school prepare children for the real world. Study hard and get good grades and you will find a high paying job with great benefits. My parents used to share their goals in life was to provide a college education for my older sister and me so that we would have the greatest chance for success in life. When I finally earned my diploma in 1976, graduating with honors and near the top of my class in accounting from Florida State University, my parents had realized their goal. It was the crowning achievement of their lives. In accordance with the master plan, I was hired by a big 8 accounting firm and I looked forward to a long career and retirement at an early age. My husband Michael followed a similar path. We both came from hardworking families of modest means but with strong work ethics. Michael also graduated with honors, but he did it twice. First as an engineer and then from law school. He was quickly recruited by a prestigious Washington DC law firm that specialized in patent law, and his future seemed bright, career path well defined, and early retirement guaranteed. Although we have been successful in our careers, they have not turned out quite as we expected. We both have changed positions several times for all the right reasons, but there are no pension plans vesting in on our behalf. Our retirement funds are growing only through our individual contributions. Michael and I have a wonderful marriage with 3 great children. As I write this, 2 are in college and 1 is just beginning high school. We have spent a fortune making sure our children have received the best education available. One day in 1996, one of my children came home disheveled with school. He was bored and tired of studying. Why should I put time into studying subjects I will never use in real life? He protested. Without thinking, I responded, because if you don't get good grades, you won't get into college. Regardless of whether I go to college, he replied, I am going to be rich. If you don't graduate from college, you won't get a good job. I responded with a tinge of panic and motherly concern. And if you don't have a good job, how do you plan to get rich? My son smirked and slowly shook his head with mild boredom. We have had this talk many times before. He lowered his head and rolled his eyes. My words of motherly wisdom were falling on deaf ears once again. Though smart and strong willed, he has always been a polite and respectful young man. Mom, he began. It was my turn to be lectured. Get with the times, look around. The richest people didn't get rich because of their educations. Look at Michael Jordan and Morona. Even Bill Gates, who dropped out of Harvard, founded Microsoft. He is now the richest man in America and he is still in his 30s. There is a baseball pitcher who makes more than $4 million in a year even though he has been labeled mentally challenged. There was a long silence between us. It was dawning on me that I was giving my son the same advice my parents had given me. The world around us had changed, but the advice hasn't. Getting a good education and making good grades no longer ensures success, and nobody seems to have noticed except our children. Mom, he continued, I don't want to work as hard as you and dad do. You make a lot of money and we live in a huge house with lots of toys. If I follow your advice, I will wind up like you, working harder and harder only to pay more taxes and wind up in debt. There is no job security anymore. I know all about downsizing and rising. I also know that college graduates today earn less than you did when you graduated. Look at the doctors. They don't make nearly as much money as they used to. I know I can't rely on social security or company pensions for retirement. I need new answer. He was right. He needed new answers, and so did my parent advice. My may have worked for people born before 1945, but it may be disastrous for those of us born into a rapidly changing world. No longer can I simply say to my children, go to school, get good grades, and look for a safe, secure job. I knew I had to look for new ways to guide my children's education. As a mother, as well as an accountant, I have been concerned by the lack of financial education our children receive in school. Many of today's youth have credit cards before they leave high school, yet they have never had a course in money or how to invest it, let alone understand how compound interest works on credit cards. Simply put, without financial literacy and the knowledge of how money works, they are not prepared to face the world that awaits them, a world in which spending is emphasized. Our savings. When my oldest son became hopelessly in debt with his credit cards as a freshman in college, I not only helped him destroy the credit cards, but I also went in a search of program that would help me educate my children on financial matters. One day last year, my husband called me from his office. I have someone I think you should meet, he said. His name is Robert Kioski. He is a businessman and investor, and he is there applying for a patent on an educational product. I think it's what you have been looking for. Just what I was looking for. My husband, Mike, was so impressed with cash flow, the new educational product that Robert Kioski was developing, that he arranged for both of us to participate in a test of prototype because it was an educational game. I also asked my 19-year-old daughter, who was a freshman at a local university, if she would like to take part, and she agreed. About 15 people, broken into three groups, participated in the test. Mike was right. It was the educational product I had been looking for, but it had a twist. It looked like a colorful Monopoly board with a giant, well dressed rat in the middle. Unlike Monopoly, however, there were two tracks, one inside and one outside. The object of the game was to get out of the inside track, what Robert called the rat race, and reach the outer track or the fast track. As Robert put it, the fast track simulates how rich people play in real life. Robert then defined the rat race for us. If you look at the life of the average educated, hardworking person, there is a similar path. The child is born and goes to school. The proud parents are excited because the children excels, gets fares to good grades, and is accepted into a college. The child's graduate maybe goes on to graduate school and then does exactly as programmed, looks for a safe, secure job or career. The child finds that job maybe as a doctor or a lawyer, or joins the army or works for the government. Generally, the child begins to make money. Credit cards start to arrive in mass, and the shopping begins if it already hasn't. Having money to burn, the child goes to places where other young people just like them hang out, and they meet people, they date, and sometimes they get married. Life is a wonderful now because today both man and woman work. Two incomes are bliss. They feel successful, their future is bright, and they decided to buy a house, a car, a television, take vacations, and have children. The happy bundle arrives. The demand for cash is enormous. The happy couple decides that their careers are virtually important and begin to work harder, seeking promotions and raises. The raises come, and so does another child and the need for a bigger house. They work harder, become better employees, even more dedicated. They go back to school to get more specialized skills so they can earn more money. Maybe they take a second job. Their incomes go up, but so does the tax bracket they are in, and the real estate taxes on their new large home, and their social security taxes and all the other taxes. They get their large paycheck and wonder where all the money went. They buy some mutual funds and buy groceries with their credit card. The children reaches 5 or 6 year of age, and the need to save for college increases as well as the need to save for their retirement. That happy couple born 35 years ago is now trapped in the rat race for the rest of their working days. They work for the owner of their company, for the government paying taxes, and for the bank paying off a mortgage and credit cards. Then they advise their own children to study hard, get good grades, and find a safe job or career. They learn nothing about money except from those who profit from their navigate and work hard all their lives. The process repeats into another hard working generation. This is the rat race. The only way to get out of the rat race is to prove your proficiency at both accounting and investing, arguably two of the most difficult subjects to master. As a trained CPA who once worked for a big 8 accounting firm, I was surprised that Robert had made the learning of these two subjects both fun and exciting. The process was so well disguised that while we were diligently working to get out of the rat race, we quickly forget we were learning. Soon a product test turned into a fun afternoon with my daughter, talking about these things we had never discussed before. As an accountant, playing a game that required an income statement and balance sheet was easy, so I had the time to help my daughter and the other players at my table with concepts that they did not understand. I was the first person and the only person in the entire test group to get out of the rat race. That day I was out within 50 minutes, although the game went on for nearly 3 hours. At my table was a banker, a business owner, and a computer programmer. What greatly disturbed me was how little these people knew about either accounting or investing subjects so important in their lives. I wondered how they managed their own financial affairs in real life. I could understand why my 19-year-old daughter would not understand, but these were grown adults, at least twice her age. After I was out of the rat race for the next 2 hours, I watched my daughter and these educated, affluent adults roll the dice and move their marker. Although I was glad they were all learning so much, I was disturbed by how much the adults did not know about the basics of simple accounting and investing. They had difficulty grasping the relationship between their income statement and their balance sheet. As they bought and sold assets, they had trouble remembering that each transaction could impact their monthly cash flow. I thought I thought how many millions of people are out there in the real world struggling financially only because they have never been taught these subjects. Thank goodness they are having fun and are distracted by the desire to win the game, I said to myself. After Robert ended the contest, he allowed us 15 minutes to discuss and critique cash flow among ourselves. The business owner at my table was not happy. He did not like the game. I don't need to know this, he said out loud. I hire accountants, bankers, and attorneys to tell me about the stuff. To which Robert replied, have you ever noticed that there are a lot of accountants who aren't rich? And bankers and attorneys and stockbrokers and real estate brokers, they know a lot and for the most part are smart people, but most of them are not rich. Since our school do not teach people what the rich know, we take advice from these people. But one day you are driving down the highway stuck in a traffic, struggling to get the work, and you look over to your right and you see your accountant stuck in the same traffic jam. You look to your left and you see your banker. That should tell you something. The computer programmer was also unimpressed by the game. I can buy software to teach me this. The banker, however, was moved. I studied this in school, the accounting part. That is, but I never knew how to apply it to real life. Now I know I need to get myself out of the rat race, but it was my daughter's comments that most touched me. I had fun learning, she said. I learned a lot about how money really works and how to invest. Then she added, now I know I can choose a profession for the work I want to perform and not because of job security, benefits, or how much I get paid. If I learned what this game teaches, I am free to do and study with what my heart wants to study rather than study something because businesses are looking for certain job skills. If I learn this, I won't have to worry about job security and social security the way most of my classmates already do. I was not able to stay and take with Robert after we had played the game, but we agreed to meet later to further discuss this project. I knew he wanted to use the game to help others become more financially savvy, and I was eager to hear more about his plans. My husband and I set up a dinner meeting with Robert and his wife within the next week. Although it was our first social get together, we felt as if we had known each other for years. We found out we had a lot of common. We covered the gamut from sports and plays to restaurants and socio-economic issues. We talked about the changing world. We spent a lot of time discussing how most Americans have little or nothing saved for retirements, as well as the almost bankrupt state of Social Security and Medicare. Would my children be required to pay for the retirement of 75 million baby boomers? We wondered if people realized how risky it is to depend on a pension plan. Robert's primary concern was the growing gap between the haves and haves not. In America and around the world, a self taught, self made entrepreneur who traveled the world putting investments together. Robert was able to retire at the age of 47. He came out of retirement because he shares the same concern I have for my own children. He knows that the world has changed, but education has not changed with it. According to the Robert, children spend years in an antiquated educational system studying subjects that they will never use, preparing for a world that no longer exists. Today, the most dangerous advice you can give a children is to go to school, get good grades, and look for a safe, secure job. He likes to say. That is old advice and it's bad advice. If you could see what is happening in Asia, Europe, South America, you would be as concerned as I am. It's bad advice, he believes. Because if you want your child to have a financially secure future, they can't play by the old set of rules. It's just too risky. I asked him what he meant by old rules. People like me play by a different set of rules from what you play by, he said. What happens when a corporation announces a downsizing? People get laid off, I said. Families are hurt. Unemployment goes up. Yes. But what happens to the company? In particular, a public company on the stock exchange. The price of the stock usually goes up when the downsizing is announced. I said, the market likes it when a company reduces its labor costs, either through automation or just consolidating the labor force in general. That's right, he said. And when stocks prices go up, people like me, the shareholders, get richer. That is what I mean by a different set of rules. Employees lose, owners and investors win. Robert was describing not only the difference between an employee and an employer, but also the difference between controlling your own destiny and giving up that control to someone else. But it's hard for most people to understand why that happens. I said, they just think it's not fair. That's why it is foolish to simply say to a child, get a good education. He said it's a foolish to assume that the education the school system provides will prepare your children for the world they will face upon graduation. Each child needs more education, different education, and they need to know the rules, the different sets of rules. There are rules of money that the rich play by, and there are the rules that the other 95% of the population plays by. He said, and the 95% learns those rules at home and in school. That is why it's risky today to simply say to a child, study hard and look for a job. A child today needs a more sophisticated education, and the current system is not delivering the goods. I don't care how many computers they put in the classroom or how much money school spends. How can the education system teach a subject that it does not know? So how does a parent teacher their children what the school does not? How do you teach accounting to a child? Won't they get bored? And how do you teach investing when as a parent you yourself are risk averse? Instead of teaching my children to simply play it safe, it's safe, I decided it was best to teach them to play it smart. So, how would you teach a child about money and all the things we have talked about? I asked Robert. How can we make it easy for parents, especially when they don't understand it themselves? I wrote a book on the subject, he said. Where is it? In my computer. It's been there for years in random pieces. I add to it occasionally, but I have never gotten around to put it all together. I began writing it after my other book became a bestseller, but I never finished the new one. It's in peace. And in peace it was. After reading the scattered sections, I decided the book had merit and needed to be shared. Especially in the changing times, we agreed to co-author Robert's book. I asked him how much financial information he thought a child needed. He said it would depend on the child. He knew at a young age that he wanted to be rich and was fortunate enough to have a father figure who was rich and willing to guide him. Education is the foundation of success, Robert said. Just as scholastic skills are virtually important, so are financial skill and communication skills. What follows is the story of Robert's two dads, a rich one and a poor one, that expounds on the skills he has developed over a lifetime. The contrast between two dads provides an important perspective. The book is supported, edited, and assembled by me. For any accountants who read this book, suspend your academic book knowledge and open your mind to the theories Robert presents. Although many of them challenge the very fundamentals of generously accepted accounting principle, they provide a valuable insight into the way true investors analyze their investment decisions. When we as a parents advise our children to go to school, study hard and get a good job, we often do that out of cultural habits. It has always been the right thing to do. When I met Robert, his ideas initially startled me. Having been raised by two fathers, he had been taught to strive for two different goals. He is educated. Dad advised him to work for a corporation. His rich dad advised him to own the corporation. Both life paths required education, but the subject of study were completely different. His educated dad encouraged Robert to be a smart person. His rich dad encouraged Robert to know how to hire smart people. Having two dads caused many problems. Robert's real dad was the superintendent of education for the state of Hawaii. By the time Robert was 16, the threat of if you don't get good grades, you won't get a good job had little effect. He already knew his career path was to own corporation, not to work for them. In fact, if it had not been for wise and persistent high school guidance counselor, Robert might not have gone on to college. He admits that he was eager to start building his assets, but finally agreed that the college education would also be a benefit to him. Truthfully, the ideas in this book are probably too far-fetched and radical for most parents today. Some parents are having a hard enough time simply keeping their children at school, but in light of our changing times, as parents we need to be open to new and bold ideas. To encourage children to be employees is to advise your children to pay more than their fair shares of taxes over a lifetime with little or no promises of pensions. And it is true that taxes are a person's greatest expense. In fact, most families work from January to mid-May for the government just to cover their taxes. New ideas are needed and this book provides them. Robert claimed that the rich teach their children differently. They teach their children at home around the dinner table. These ideas may not be the ideas you choose to discuss with your children, but thank you for looking at them. And I advise you to keep searching. In my opinion, as a mom and a CPA, the concept of simply getting good grades and finding a good job is an old idea. We need to advise our children with a great degree of sophistication. We need new ideas and different education. Maybe telling our children to strive to be good employees while also striving to own their own investment corporation is not such a bad idea. It is my hope as a mother that this book helps other parents. It is Robert's hope to inform people that anyone can achieve prosperity if they choose so. If today you are a gardener or a janitor or even unemployed, you have the ability to educate yourself and teach those you love to take care of themselves financially. Remember that financial intelligence is the mental process via which we solve our financial problems. Today, we are facing global and technological changes as great or even greater than those ever faced before. No one has a crystal ball, but one thing is for certain, changes lie ahead that are beyond our reality. Who knows what the future brings? But whatever happens, we have two fundamental choices: play it safe or play it smart by preparing, getting educated, and awakening your own and your children's financially genius. Sharon lecture for every what my rich dad taught me about money. All you have to do. So this is about rich dad and poor dad. This is part 1. For further updates, please subscribe my YouTube channel. So take care and bye bye.